GG, it's been fun, guys.
Bartail has been one of the persons who's watched all the shows. I talk to him on a regular basis in the EverQuest Next IRC channel.
What we saw with, Kunark for EQ2, you did those 400 quests, you did all the content, and at the end of it, the world wasn't changed.
Yeah, I'm Phantom X. I do social media and write articles for EQ Nexus.
For the Fall of Bastion, there was a very definite, okay, this is where your story is going to fit into the world.
Listen, fluffy looking bear, thank you. Listen, I went and I killed a dragon, and then 2 drops of whiskey hit my face, and I willed this manly beard into cow was raising, yes!
Hello and welcome to the EverCast show. This is episode 39, which we've titled Looking for Group. I'm one of your hosts, Tanlin. With me are the normal cast and crew of EverCast hosts. And if you're catching us for the first time, EverCast is in EverQuest Next and EverQuest just Landmark now. Whoa, man. Boy, it's been like that for months, and I almost said it. But this is an EverQuest Next and Landmark podcast. But from time to time, we talk about other MMOs, and tonight I think that that's what we're going to do a little bit. The name is called Looking for Group. We're going to talk about the best parts of other MMOs that we've seen and why we like them. And if you're in the chat channel right now, when we bring up a topic, we want to hear from you too. Oh, hi, guys.
Hello.
I did not pull a Tamlin. I just didn't,
He Tamlin.
Yeah, we had no idea what you just said.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Hi. He probably was like, let me just mute everyone else. Or just these two. Just these two people. Let's just mute these two guys.
It would be smart of him to do so.
Yeah, probably.
Otherwise we get pirates
You don't have the power.
Well, so I'm guessing we did the whole intro thing. That's been done now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I'm Chuina.
Do you not watch the stream? And
No, I mute this. Don't
Yeah,
get feedback. Oh, well, all right, fantastic.
Oh my God, Flatus! That's phenomenal.
The mustache. Sipping on the eggnog out of the mustache now.
Nope, I finished that drink. I'm on the water.
I can't believe you're already on eggnog this early in the year.
Don't judge me.
Well, we have some awesome discussions tonight.
Yes, so like I introduced the topic. I said we're going to talk about our favorite parts of MMOs, and we're going to break it down by like the different, topics, subject headers, those sorts of things as we talk about our favorite parts. And I also encourage the chat to jump in with us while we have our little discussion. Anything else going on before I jump into the ECast news?
Well, someone got a fancy little trip to some convention that just happened, right? I don't know what could be going on or was going on this weekend.
Maybe.
There was something. God, what was it?
BlizzCon.
Oh, BlizzCon, that's right. The Blizzard company.
Never heard of it.
Is that a meteorological convention where people come out and they forecast the weather?
Poorly. They tell you it's going to snow and it totally doesn't snow. It just drizzles a little bit of rain.
Damn weathermen. Damn weathermen.
They're so inaccurate.
But for real, tell us all about it.
Do you really we should do ECast news first. What are you talking about?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
What's with ECast news, Stanley?
There's not a whole lot in ECast news, huh? But there is enough. One of the things that we're aware of is that next week, later on this week, it is the 9th, but the week of the 12th, that SOE has said that there's going to be some pretty significant patching, what do they call updates to Landmark, including armor and items and all that stuff. So if you haven't been into Landmark, wait for the patch this weekend, jump in, and be prepared because we're probably going to be talking about those changes on our next show. The other little bit of ECAST news is that Trina and I, we called each other out, and then we both blinked and didn't call each other's.
It's not that we didn't want to build ogre builds. It's just that the time it got away from us. Something with StarCraft and WoW for Tanner, I think. But we are going to do it this week, and we might do a co-op build instead. You'll either see 2 different builds from us, and you guys can let us know how much we suck, or we'll band together.
Or we'll make one giant piece of crap together.
Yeah, I talked about it like many months ago doing the show that Landmark for me is not a gameplay experience that is typical of playing a video game. For me, like, it requires the right mental state to be able to get into, because it's not playing it's not just playing a game. It's like tapping into that creative muse inside you and trying to develop some sort of art and whatever. And I mean, like, my house is still kind of in ruins, and it's really hard to feel comfortable and chill enough to be creative when I'm dealing with a whole lot of stuff around my house. This, however, is the perfect opportunity where I'm just like, man, I just want to forget all my troubles and disappear into a game for a little while. And so I've been doing a lot of that. But so yeah, we called each other out to see who the better ogre builder was, and then we both failed.
Miserably.
And it's so funny because we didn't talk to tell each other that we hadn't done anything. It was more like halfway through the week. It was like, oh, let's get on it. And then today, Tanlin was saying, yeah, I haven't done it. And I was like, oh, thank God. Now, I did log into Landmark throughout the week, mostly just to amuse myself with the optimizations because it's running fantastic now. Have you guys noticed that across the board for everybody?
Well, like I said, like I mentioned last week, is that my computer already handles Landmark.
Yeah. Well, for us less fortunate, yeah, my computer is amazing. And it's I'm very happy. I can actually have like nice lighting and animations without it like jumping across the screen every 2 seconds. So excited.
Nice.
I'm still a little. I'm not getting as good. Like it's better, but it's not great. But I need upgrades, so I'm not gonna. My chip's fine. It's my video cards are like I'm running 2 560.
And that's like a generation behind me.
Yeah. So and there's now the 900 series out, so I'm a little outdated.
We should do it. We should do a tech talk at some point in time too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Out of anger. Let's see how that angers people. No, that's better.
NVIDIA, no, AMD,
ETI.
That's a great voice.
Oh man, I sense a butt clenching in the force.
Oh no. All right.
Oh my
God. That was it for ECAST News. Pretty light week. Last thoughts before we jump into the main topic?
No.
BlizzCon?
Well, that's part of our favorite things.
We'll tie it in. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I really want to hear about it because I didn't get to watch much of it, and we actually have someone who got to go and haven't. All right, it's okay. Let's get started.
All right. Well, let's let Tanlin take the lead and tell us when he wants us to talk about BlizzCon.
Come on, moderator.
No, I know our audience. Well, I think I know our audience. Well, we'll ask our audience.
I think I know.
I love that,
audience, but I don't think so.
I think that our audience is going to hear us talking about BlizzCon and Blizzard products in general, and they're going to be like, "Dude, we don't play, we don't care." But if you do want to hear, if you do care, then write in the chat and let us know, and we'll talk about BlizzCon right now.
Listen, I will say this, like, if you did not pay attention to Twitter or you have Facebook, you would notice a lot of big people from SOE were at BlizzCon, playing those games, looking at them. They are gamers. That's the part of this. Also, it's a slow news week.
Well, Kai, actually, what are you... Do you feel that you can before I put you on the spot? You have no idea what... Okay, never mind then.
Feel that I can what? Talk about BlizzCon? Hell yeah, for hours. I mean...
All right, BlizzCon, go.
Okay, so it would be easier for me to like have questions that people want answered, because I don't want to start talking about like, oh, and this and this and this, and it be completely irrelevant to what you guys want to hear. So Joanna is the one that's chomping at the bit. Tell me about BlizzCon. So
like,
what is it that you...
And in chat, if you guys have questions, be sure to post.
Oh yeah. Ask questions and I'll answer them as well as I can.
You've been to SOE Live and now
yes.
you've been to BlizzCon.
Yes.
Differences, pros, cons.
Okay. So I went into SOE Live for the first time, not this year, but last year, with a very preconceived notion that it would be really closed off, and when I say really closed off, I mean like not very personal, that it would be observer, not participation, that I'm not allowed to talk about the Warcraft movie. There was actually an NDA. I apologize.
Well, that means you got to see the trailer.
I did. And that's all I can say. And the other thing that I can say is holy shit, I am not an emotional person when it comes to movies and video games and things like that. Like, I don't get attached to characters. I don't cry in movies generally. Dude, tears welling up in my eyes at one of the scenes. Like, absolutely emotionally heart-wrenching. I can't say anymore. There was an actual NDA. Sorry.
We need like a tease sound effect. Like, man, what a tease!
I don't even know what it is, and I'm getting a little emotional.
Okay, so it was an orc that did this to me, and I don't. Oh my god. Okay, so anyways, so I went into SOE Live with the preconceived notion that if I got to talk to anybody that worked for Sony, that they would be maybe a little hoity-toity, maybe like, oh, you're just a player, I don't want to talk to you, or talk to me out of obligation. And that was absolutely the opposite. I actually expected the exact same thing from Blizzard, that they would be like hoity-toity and they don't want to talk to you and that they don't want to spend time with you, and it was exactly the opposite. Absolutely exactly the opposite. They really want to hang out with you. They really want to talk to you. Clearly, they're a lot busier than SOE Live. And I don't mean that in the bad way. Like, the convention is freaking huge, and it's much larger than SOE Live. So, but the amount of employees feels like about the same. Not the balance of players to employees at SOE Live feels the same as the balance of attendees to employees at BlizzCon. So while there is a lot of people that are attending BlizzCon, there's also a lot of employees that are there. So that felt pretty similar. Then the difference is, because some of those people are really, really high ups, it's really, really hard to get any time with them, because the little bit of time that they do have free, like Metzen specifically, Metzen, I really wanted to meet, and all I wanted was 30-second business time, selfie, and get out of his hair. But much like Dave Georgeson, he's not super social, and I don't mean that as a slight to Dave at all. It's Dave mingles, but it comes across like he's not terribly comfortable hanging out with us a lot. And I don't mean that, again, in a bad way. It's just the impression that I get, that he doesn't like rub elbows a whole lot with people. And Metzen is apparently really, really not comfortable around people, which cracks me up, because he's really fantastic in front of people when it's talking. But I actually asked a couple of the Blizzard employees, like, how do I get to Metzen? How do I get a picture with him? And they're like, he's really, really hard to get, because he's really not good with social settings.
Heck, I saw Smedley at SOE Live for like 2 seconds, and then, like, I saw him during the keynote, and then never again. Like, he must have been up in his penthouse dropping bills left and right.
I tried to talk to Smedley twice at SOE Live, and it did not work at all either time. And it wasn't that he was rude. It was that he was extremely curt and extremely short. It was like, hi, thanks, bye. And that was really it. And again, he wasn't rude or anything. He just clearly did not have the time, possibly didn't have the inclination. I'm not really sure, but I didn't take it personal. So here's where the difference is between SOE Live and BlizzCon. It doesn't come down to the employees. It doesn't come down to the people that are attendees. It comes down to the way it's set up. So huge amount of vendors were there. Razer was there, SteelSeries, NVIDIA, and then they had their own NVIDIA GeForce booth. There was probably another half a dozen other companies that were there. Newegg was there, YouTube was there, Twitch TV was there, and they all had their own individual booths. But every single one of those companies were doing giveaways. And because they were doing giveaways, they had lines and lines and lines and lines.
Damn.
And the lines, like when you got in line, they actually had people come up and say, hey, by the way, I want you to know that you're about 2 to 3 hours away from getting to the head of the line. And so it was a 2 to 3 hour wait for Razer. It was a 2 hour wait for YouTube. It was a 2 hour wait for SteelSeries. It was a 2 hour wait for pretty much everything. They are a bigger company, so it does have a lot to do with that, because you're talking about, 4,000 attendees, 3,000 attendees at SOE Live at the most. BlizzCon is, I don't know, 5 times, 6 times that. I honestly don't know the amount of attendees. So that's where the difference is. It's a lot of observational, not a whole lot of interactive. It's not panels. It's not things of that nature. It's like they had some panels and it was like, hey, we're going to talk about Warcraft for an hour and you can ask us some questions and that's going to be about it. But any major announcements were saved for, opening or closing ceremonies, or at the NDA part that I'm not allowed to talk about. They had some announcements in the theater as well.
Oh.
And then, and when I say NDA, Nathan Tanlin doesn't know about them. Sorry.
Well, she tried to talk to me a little bit about.
I tried to talk to him a little bit.
And I said, no, don't you do it.
He had nothing. He wanted nothing to do with it.
Because I didn't want it spoiled. I want to watch the movie fresh.
It's a trailer!
So, I just want to experience it without any part of it with as limited pre-exposure as possible. And what's funny, because I need to apologize to Sumler a little bit, because him and I were having a Twitter conversation a little bit about the Marvel Universe franchise of movies, right? Like, they've got, 6 or 7 done. They've got another 6 or 7 planned. And I'm just like, whatever. I don't really, it's not enough that it is a movie with a superhero in it that I know. They have to sell me on, why is this superhero story worth telling? And I need to know that first before I can get any sort of excited for it. And I said, I've seen Iron Man 1 through 3 and the Avengers, and I've seen the first Captain America movie, but I had no interest in seeing the second Captain America movie. I was just like, eh. And then I was talking with some of my other friends, and I'm like, but you know what? If they turn the Warcraft franchise into a movie franchise, because they have enough story, and we'll get to that later, talking about our favorite stories in MMOs. But they've again, just like EverQuest 2 and EverQuest 1, they've been around the block for 10 years as an MMO, but their RTS for Warcraft goes back 20 years, and they have a good 5-6 movies, in my opinion, worth of stories that they could tell. And so I could honestly get really excited about seeing that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree. Then the last thing about BlizzCon, with the lines, they had a BlizzCon store, and there were a handful of things that were absolute BlizzCon exclusives that you could only get at BlizzCon. And I didn't attend Friday. I only attended Saturday. And when they had a 10th anniversary, because this year is Blizzard's 10th anniversary for World of Warcraft, so they had a 10th anniversary.
Right, Q2, and they launched the same year. I forgot.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So there was a 10-year anniversary World of Warcraft shoulder bag, messenger bag, and that was sold out. And then they had a Frost Wolf Howler pup plushie that was also sold out, which broke my heart because I wanted it. And then they had a fairy dragon who was sitting on top of my desk over there that I bought. But 2-hour line to get from the start of the line through the line. And that was just to get to the cash register, which also had their own individual lines. So
wow.
all in all, it was about 2 hours and 45 minutes between getting in the line and then actually getting my bag that said Blizzard in hand with all of my stuff in it.
And that's where I'd be like, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I watched my favorite parts of BlizzCon. I watched the stream, and that was cool.
So if you want to go to Blizzard to BlizzCon, and you want to observe the tournaments, the games, the Hearthstone matches, absolutely go, because it's literally walk in, sit down, do it. There's no lines, there's no waiting for that. If you want to participate in the prizes and the drawings and buy shit from the Blizzard store, then it's queue after queue after queue. And when I got home, Tan and I were talking about it, I was like, dude, this is worse than queuing for LFR as DPS. I mean, that is literally exactly word for word what came out of my mouth. The lines at Blizzard were so effing bad that it was worse than queuing for LFR as DPS.
I loved seeing the stages, and Talon was talking about how they had a screen behind the players, and they put so much work into the theatrics and the stage setups. I literally wanted that Hearthstone booth in my house. Like, if I could walk up to that booth and play Hearthstone every day, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. It was beautiful. Really, really pretty. The StarCraft stage was amazing.
Yeah. And the thing is those are in really big rooms, so you can walk in and look at those at any time. Like, they don't ban you from going in those rooms if there's not something going on. So it's kind of cool that you can just, like, walk up to the whole Hearthstone setup and look at it, even though there's no matches going on. Like, you can walk directly right up against the stage and look, and that was really, really neat. And the same, like, they were a little bit more protective of the StarCraft section because the players were actually still back there. So they were a bit more cautious about just letting people run rampant in the StarCraft section, because they had it pulled all the way over into a separate corner in an actual doored off hall. So when it wasn't going, they actually kept the doors closed to that one. And they were a bit more cautious about letting people go back there, but the rest of them were completely open. And then if any of you are familiar with Blizzard's music, especially from World of Warcraft, and like when you go into the Hearthstone hall, it was all of the Hearthstone music, right? And then you go into the StarCraft room and it's all of the StarCraft music playing really loud. But when you first walk into BlizzCon and you go through like the check and everything, it is literally like the blaring epic fight music that you hear when you walk in. And it's like, I seriously got inside, and I think I stood there for about 5 minutes, because all you can see is flashing lights and shiny, and, you know, you see Warlords of Draenor, and then you see Overwatch, and then you see all the banners for all the different games, and it's really a little overwhelming.
Yes!
Yes!
Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes!
I don't know if he was having sex or just super excited, but whatever it was, he
So
was
excited!
so excited, right? And so it
Listen,
was,
I have every single album for every game that Blizzard owns, other than like the Hearthstone and stuff like that. So I love their music.
So
The
to give you an
Hearthstone music
idea,
is so annoying.
just pick any of the epic music, like when you've won a battle, right? Like, it's that really epic orky music, and it's that heavy drum, and it's like so successful feeling, and you just feel really ramped up, right? Okay, I'm standing in the hall, and there's something behind me, and it hadn't caught my eye yet. And as I turn and look at this thing, it was like the music suddenly started over the loudspeakers. And it was the absolute perfect timing, because sitting right behind me was stuff I really wanted to see. And it's this huge Tyrael statue with the wings that are blown glass all lit up. And it looks like he's floating in the air. And it's just gorgeous. And I turn, and it's all that fucking epic archy music, and it's like dun, dun, dun. I was like, yeah! It was pretty
Sounds
good.
just like Disney. Like, it is so close to Disney. Maybe that's why they do it there, because they have the Disney people come over and set up the event.
Well,
just like the immersion and everything like that, and the theatrics of it, it's huge.
their office is just down the street in Irvine.
Oh, wow. Well, all right. Thank you for the recap.
Wait a minute, hold on. Did we just get like a 2v2 match? Like Kitty plus Flatus versus Chewina plus Hafu?
Yeah.
And what,
In
Hearthstone?
what? In Overwatch, I think.
Overwatch? Oh, done.
Is that it?
I was gonna say you can't do it at
Hafu's
Hearthstone.
right. We would win. You would lose.
So the other thing that I have to say really quick is like they had about 100 machines running Warlords of Draenor. They had about 100 machines running the new StarCraft 2 expansion, which is
Oblivion.
Something of the Void.
Into the Void.
Dreams of the Void?
Mm-mm.
Something Void.
It's that new StarCraft 2 expansion that I kind of sort of want, but I'm really not sure about because I don't play StarCraft 2 very often because I really suck. And I really want to be
Legacy
good
of the Void.
Legacy of the Void. And I really want to be good at Zerg, but Zerg is so hard to be good at. And that's why I love Scarlet so much because holy crap, she's Zerg and she's amazing Zerg. And then they had Overwatch, and you could go play Overwatch. But of course, like the line to go play Warlords of Draenor was nothing. There was no line. There were machines empty.
Because it's so close to coming out.
The lines to play like Sea of the Void, none. The lines to go play Overwatch, 4 hours.
you go to any like if SOE announced like a brand new IP. Like,
yeah,
let's
and then
say,
had it playable.
and had it playable.
Oh yeah, like if we could play EQN that big.
Listen, if they would announce
I would try
EverQuest
that
Next
out,
and
yeah.
had it playable.
No,
Sony.
seriously, I would. If they just said, hey, like next week, Friday, Saturday only, be at SOE Life headquarters, at SOE headquarters, we'll have, X amount of, yeah, thanks. That's really awesome. But I also only went for a single day. So, I played Overwatch like 30 times. Fuck. Ladian.
It could be the time you go too. Like, I wonder if like Overwatch was less filled during like Metallica.
I left right before Metallica. I got there around 11:30 in the morning. Didn't actually get
and she really doesn't like Metallica.
Huh?
And she really doesn't like Metallica.
Oh, Metallica can go straight to hell.
Bad.
Worst they ever land.
I like the old Metallica.
Oh,
like
yeah, old Metallica's alright.
Hold on, so Algo, don't sue me for saying that too part of your song.
Wow.
Thanks, Flatus. Now we're gonna get flagged for copyright violation.
Lars Ulrich's gonna come out for me.
So, if I would have known before I had already decided to leave, that the pre-show for whoever is playing closing ceremonies, the pre-show is the Tauren Chieftains.
Which is great, because I've
For all
said
of
this
you
before.
WoW players that are fanboys / fangirls that know who the Tauren Chieftains are, I adore you. But holy crap, yeah.
I love the Elite Tauren Chieftains. I think it's one of the breaking wall thing, like the fourth wall breaking sort of thing in WoW. Especially when you go to like the dark we're getting messages someplace.
The
You yelled
Dark
at?
Forest. When you go to the Dark Forest, everything is even.
No, it's a
No,
dungeon. It's they're at the Darkmoon Fair, and there's the dungeon as well. Which I forget.
The Grim Guzzler.
The Grim Guzzler at the top of the hour. The band, nothing is there. All of a sudden, lightning strikes. The band comes out in a puff of smoke, and all of a sudden they play a rock song for about 5 minutes, and it's beautiful in the middle of the dungeon. It's so great. Alright, so we spent 30 minutes talking about BlizzCon, which I'm pretty sure we can talk even more about. No, it's fine. It's fine. I believe that we do have a show outside of BlizzCon to talk about.
So,
Which, trust me, if we could do a whole 2-hour talking about BlizzCon, we could probably do that. But we do have an episode, and it's what do we like about MMOs, other MMOs outside of the.
Taking a trip down memory lane. Let's be super nostalgic. You guys are talking about WoW. I'm sure it'll come back up.
It probably will.
smooth segues there, guys. All right.
You just made it so much better.
It was smooth until you pointed it out. Nobody knew.
They didn't know.
This is a professional podcast.
Don't insult my audience, guys. Don't insult my audience. They totally knew it wasn't smooth.
Listen, the level of professionalism here on EverCast is it's unbound. All right, we are top tier.
At the base level, though, all MMOs have the system that makes them what they are, which is the classes and the combat systems that make them. Because there are no MMOs that are. I mean, they're all kill stuff and take their loot, with minor exceptions. That's basically how they're played. And so, the how you kill stuff is the how you begin your game. So, with that, what combat and class system have we played in not just MMOs, but let's look a little bit beyond that. And what are our favorites? What do we like? What do we don't like? And if you're, again, in chat listening, tell us what you guys like.
Man, combat classes, I liked the idea of Rift. The implementation, it was a little more shallow and way too easy to switch back and forth, but I like the idea of it. Combat, I don't know, EverQuest 2, and honorable mention to Age of Conan for trying to do something different.
Looking outside the box a little bit, what about Smite? I know
how I feel about Smite.
That's the same thing. Like I liked, Vanguard was my first MMO, and then Warcraft and Vanguard and pretty much all MMOs pretty much have the same style, right? Like you have the global cooldown and you have your off cooldown abilities, but then Guild Wars 2 came out, and it had a little bit different system because there was no auto attack. You're limited to maybe 8-10 abilities at the most. But there was something off about it until I played Smite, and Smite was the first time I'm like, this right here. That was my favorite combat system. Across somewhere between like Guild Wars 2 and where Smite is at.
God, Smite is positively dreadful.
I like the classes in EverQuest. EverQuest 1, the classes were very unique. You'd have to go to a vendor to buy your spells and scroll down the list to buy them. It wouldn't auto give them to you.
You used to have to do that in Warcraft.
Yeah, you had to sort of do it in EverQuest 2, like where you had to go buy the upgrades to it, but you were granted the original. But I really liked that because it felt unique, and you could literally just build your class out the way you wanted to. There's a chance I never would have a spell that someone else might have. And they're all unique. A lot of appearance stuff, like it can be an enchanter turn into a flaming statue and just sit there all day if I wanted to. It just had a lot of really cool niches for RP. I like that.
Yep.
When I was a noob and a much younger Flatus, my mage in WoW had to, everybody was like, I was running around my mage and I could transform people into sheep. I could shoot people, and I saw somebody do a pig and I was like, what's that? I went up to the guy. I was like, sir, I know you get the one that's a pig. He's like, you have to go to the mage tower and do a quest chain. Okay. My little bright eyes ran over to that main shower, did that quest chain so I can unlock the piggy, and I just turned people into pigs, and I was so excited that I could turn people into pigs and sheep. I was like,
Now they have penguins.
I had the turtle, I had the sheep, I had the penguin, and I had the pig. I had the quad transformation powers on my mage.
Someone brought up Terra combat. Did you guys try Terra out?
Yes. I believe, now don't get me wrong, there are classes in Terra that are super quick and probably way more enjoyable than the class I picked, but I like tanking. And
Did
I was
you
like,
Lancer? I went Lancer and I loved it.
You did? I hated it. It was so slow.
With the active blocking, I didn't end up playing the game long, but just the fact that I had the active blocking and
the blocking, it was nice.
Put my shield out and watch the character animation. I thought that was insanely.
Yeah, that was good, but then it was like
it was very slow.
Bah, bah, bah. I was like, oh god. And then I was like, because you felt like that was like the downfall, because like my friends would play with me and they would like zoom past me because it would take me longer to kill things. So it was cool. It's like, I'm a lizard. It's like boop boop boop, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It
But then when
reminds,
but I was
reminds
gonna say when you go ahead.
Well, it reminds me of playing tank classes in Warcraft before they had dual spec, right? Like you would, especially for warriors, something that didn't have like their own heals, so that was like kill something, eat some food to get your health back, kill something, eat something to get your food back, and yeah, those leveling in those tanky specs where you're not doing a lot of damage but you're really tough to kill. It was always incredibly slow compared to like a pure damage class.
And see,
try leveling holy. Try leveling as a freaking healer. That's the worst.
It's funny. Like I leveled my tank as a tank class, but I had somebody to run with me, and when you grouped up, it makes the game way more enjoyable. Two, it's a lot more fun. You get stuff done a lot faster. Like you just like, I don't care. I'll take on. Like you could pull like 2 or 3 people if you have someone to DPS everything else down. You're like. So wave it and just like blow it all up. It's fantastic.
So now you Trina brought up something that I wanted to go back to, is that you're right about the Rift talent system, or their souls that you could get.
Yeah, the idea of mix and matching your classes and building a custom class.
I love that. Again, going from Vanguard being my first MMO, where you were pretty much, if you were a ranger, this is what you did. These were the abilities that you had, and there was very limited customization. And then to get into Warcraft, where there was like talents that you could kind of mix and match a little bit. It was awesome. Like, and I love that Rift tried to do it. I think that they were a little bit overly ambitious about it. But since Warcraft has simplified the talents and removed they removed it, and they added specializations, and now it's just kind of like, I don't like it as much. I liked it better when you had like a Frostfire mage, which was a little bit of frost and a little bit of fire, and it wasn't like a true. And there was a mutilate rogue, where they had a little bit of one talent tree and a little bit of another talent tree. Like they didn't go all the way down to the bottom of the talent tree. They weren't. It didn't feel like you were locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Thinking of the opposite, like going back to what you were saying about WoW kind of slimming it down, Age of Conan at launch, the one thing that I hated about it was there was really no character customization. You're on this path, and you're going to get finger cramps by pressing all the buttons because you're trying to do this weird active combat system that requires like 8 different buttons at the same time, but just no real good class expansion system at launch. And that's something that's sort of vital for me now, I think, going forward, is seeing games like Rift and seeing other games. The whole idea of EQ and multi-classing, I don't like the whole, I'm just going to be this class and I'm going to level up to like 40 and just get the spells along the way, and then that's it. I hated that in, oh man, what was that one Asian game that launched? Anyways, I'm not going to go down the road because there's a lot of games like that. It was,
Aeon?
It was Aeon. No, it was Aeon, yes.
I played Aeon.
Oh my god, what a one way to play a game, a straight path.
That game was, I really didn't like that game at all. Not at all. It was superficially pretty, and then once you played for a while, okay, so being a girl, I found a lot of it a little on the offensive side, actually, because
oh no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, the design screen, you switch between the races and their boobs bounce so much.
Lineage 2 as well. Lineage 2 is, yeah.
Now,
The Arcade was also that way. Is that the newest one that we've been playing?
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
It's also pretty boob bouncy, and
high heels.
when the girls dance, they don't just kind of dance, they twerk.
Arcade, if you were a female plate wearer, like there was the man in the plate armor set, and if you switched over to the female version of that character wearing the plate armor set, she had high heels.
At least World of Warcraft doesn't do that to them. They don't have the female boots that are plate boots. They're not heels. None of them are. Now, cosplayers absolutely will put heels on their boots.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But I can't think of a single plate armor set that I have on any of my female blood elves that have heels on them. Not off the top of my head.
No, I don't think they do, because that would change the way that the model stands, and in Warcraft they don't do
a lot of
any
metal
of that.
bikinis, though.
But that doesn't change the way that the character stands,
No,
which is
it doesn't. It just changes the way her ass looks.
Now, before we in Legendary, I see that.
Love you guys too.
I see that I see the question that Legendary Neurotoxin asked in chat, but I wanted to make another we were talking about how EverQuest Next is going to allow you to play any class, right? You'll start with one, but you'll build your own. And build your own, but you'll be able to collect them all as you go along. And I actually go back to how Rift had it as another example of something that I really like. That you had one archetype. There were 4 base archetypes, right? Fighter, rogue, mage,
like a priest, and then a mage, yeah.
Cleric. And from there, you could build a rogue class that was a tank rogue class, or you could build a rogue class that was a ranged rogue class or a melee rogue class. And it was basically that you had your one archetype, and that was, you could not change it. But if you needed to, or if you later wanted to, you could switch between like a support or a tank, or, some classes couldn't heal well, but they all had that they could add to a party.
Yeah. And Rift also added a lot of sort of active-based combat, a little bit movement-based, like putting traps on the ground and being able to aim your reticles a little bit to where you kind of select where the AoE would go down, or I need to run by and reach onto this person. So they did a lot of really cool things. In the end, the global cooldown of it and the overall simplicity, once you actually got used to it, was a little too dull for me. It was either like a complete button masher, or it was the opposite, sit around and do nothing. But I will say that's the first game I've liked to heal in. Like, it actually had fun healing for me. I enjoyed it.
What did you play?
I played, I think it was called a Sentinel. It was the tankier healer.
Right.
It could basically be a half warrior, sort of, and then I mixed that with an Archon, which was the mage healer. God, it's been so long. I think that's the mage healer Archon. I mixed those. Yeah, gosh, let's not talk about this. I know it's been too long. It's been way too long. I hit max level and then I stopped playing and never went back.
See, I didn't even
play WoW. No.
I didn't even hit max level in Rift, and when
Really?
when we get down to what we're talking about, like the story and the setting of the world, one of the things that I absolutely did not like about Rift is that their world felt so small.
It was. Now I give them credit where credit's due. When they added the Fire Island, I forget the whole Ember Isle, I think it was called. Ember Isle was massive. That was cool, and they added that in a content patch, and that made the world bigger. And then their second expansion, those 2 islands were massive.
They were
bigger, much bigger than the initial.
So cool. They had little tower defense games built into the islands and stuff.
Yep.
Where you'd have to go in there and do quests and stuff. Over time, it's expanded a lot, but I'll agree that it was very superficial in the beginning. There's a bunch of houses, you can't go in them. There's no real dynamic.
Yeah.
Just you run through the zone and go to the next zone. Sort of deal.
Rift had the right idea, but then it tried to implement it in the old world style of MMO gaming, which was wrong, I think. But I think maybe, I don't know if it was just a limitation of money or technology. Boredom? I don't know.
No, I mean technology. They actually had crazy server technology. It was one of the first games where they said they could implement so many updates and live, I guess, without having to restart the servers and things like that.
Oh yeah, no, that happened.
They had
that happened because
I had a patent on their server technology at the time, if I believe.
They did, because I remember when the second version
right.
And it launched during, I was in game, and that thing, it clicked on. It was on. And I was in game, I was like, oh.
That's pretty impressive.
Well,
it was. And I got world first for stuff. I was running out in the middle of that, doing raid quests, world first. I was smacking down world first. I was like, yes.
I've never gotten world first anything.
And the thing about Rift is they could also control how quickly and how massively the Rift spawned on the fly.
Yep.
And so, like, I remember during one of their last open betas to do their server test to see how much their server could handle. Like, if you played, there was Rifts everywhere.
And honestly, since we're on the topic, like, I don't know if you all remember in beta, but they were one of the most open development teams I've ever seen. Like, they literally took player feedback and would implement it in a week. The whole, people were complaining that in public events there was no public group. They, like, basically took that feedback and implemented it, like, 3 days later. A whole new system for the people.
Their their login system, right? Whatever they designed to make sure that you own the account when you logged in, it was.
Yeah.
One, it was implemented without any forewarning, and two, it was horrible. It was like, yeah. But it had something to do with, like, you were coin bound, so you could log into the game and you could run around, and like, if you didn't notice, you would try to sell something and you'd be like, what's this? I can't mail anything, and you'd have to log out and check your email, and it was bad. Or, well, maybe it was great, but at the time I thought that it was absolutely ridiculous and just a huge imposition on me. Blah 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 blah. So
favorite combat system. I guess let's all name one real quick. Is that okay, Taylor? Since we're on the subject, our favorite combat system. Just pick one if you have to pick one.
Smite.
Make it an MMO.
No, you can't make me.
No, I don't wanna. It's our show. We do whatever we want.
Oh, okay, Guild Wars 2. But when I say Guild Wars 2, what I really mean is Smite.
It's Smite.
Fair enough. I'll actually say EverQuest 2. If I had to pick one outright, I really like the pacing of EverQuest 2. Started off slow, but the way they built the abilities and classes towards late game, it really felt good. So I like that one. And the remaining two?
Kai?
Warcraft. You have to ask.
Listen. I'll. Well, since you asked,
make it an MMO.
No, it's gonna be an MMO. It's gonna be a mishmash of things.
One MMO. Just name the MMO.
No. He got to say Guild Wars 2, which was really smite. I give my answer. You be quiet down there. I'll kick you out of TeamSpeak. I'll just say whatever I want.
You shut your dirty mouth, Mr. Chulina.
Yeah, hey, Chad, you know what? I was going to save this for chat, but I'll use it on you.
I have a microphone, and you don't. So you will listen to every damn word I say!
I would absolutely die if Tanlin just suddenly muted him.
No. I mean, I could, but I won't. That's just mean.
I like the Final Fantasy XIV abilities that I can play one character and switch between roles. I just equip the weapon, which is going to be what it is in EverQuest Next, and I become that thing. Later on, though, like in Final Fantasy, you have classes. So, like, you have the Gladiator, the Thaumaturge, the Pugilist, the Monk, like a bunch of other things. But I'm sorry, monks and jobs. And then you also have jobs that you unlock, right? So I'm a Gladiator, so I got my Gladiator to 30, and then I have to level a Conjurer, which
like
is
a subclass.
No. It's your job. It's like your main thing. A paladin would be like a tank, like your main tank. But I could still be a gladiator and still be a tank and level to 50 and play that way. But I'd have more of an more abilities, and like the armor's geared toward being a paladin. And you do that, you just kind of hinder yourself.
So you making this up?
No, I'm not. I kid you not. If you go look at the Final Fantasy website, there's a class system and a job system.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, and that's the way it works. And then it kind of promotes you to kind of want to level all the classes because you unlock things and you can actually move around. Things that you can do in EverQuest Next, you can do right now in Final Fantasy XIV. The only difference is it's not an action combat system. It's a like World of Warcraft, click it like
Tab targeting.
It's tab targeting system. Does it work? Yes. So my answer was going to be like a mishmash because it was going to say, well, it's World of Warcraft, but it's got all this extra stuff on it. So, or it's EverQuest or EverQuest 2, all those other the old school type mechanic, but it adds a lot more to it, and you can just beat whatever class you want. And it works really well. It works pretty nicely, and they just added like in the last patch that came out last week, they added the Rogue class and the Ninja job, and Sunglare is already a ninja, and he's wrecking house, and it's really cool. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say somebody's sugar mama bought it for him.
Oh, what? Who? What? Oh, yeah, that's right. Tamlin picked up a copy. By the way, I linked it earlier, but if you weren't here, Final Fantasy XIV is on sale, half off. You can get it at half off on Steam or Amazon. I've linked it earlier.
And doesn't that come with like 30 days of free game time?
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't start until you log in, right?
Yep. So if you really wanted to get the game, but you're like, oh, I don't have the time, buy it when it's half off, which is right now. I linked it again. And when you have the time, maybe around the holidays, you have a little more free time, jump in there, try it out. Come to FanFreet. Come hang out with me.
Come here. I need friends.
I need friends.
I need more friends.
That's my phone, but
yeah, it wasn't me. No, I put my phone on silent. Yeah.
I wanted to ask Chewy.
Listen!
My house phone that rings when it rings.
Listen, guy who does squats during the show.
At 39 episodes, my first time my phone goes off, and he's gonna give me crap.
All episode though. Who are you talking to? You have a special friend on the line?
No. Yes.
That's convincing.
Hold on. It's a lot of messages. Listen. I'm not gonna. Two of my close friends, two of my two best friends, my best friend and his fiance, are playing. I saw them pop up, and they're like. I looked over in my Blizzard launcher, and they're like. I saw them like, wait, they're both in Warcraft. They haven't played Warcraft. It's probably as long as I have. I think they both stopped around the same time I have.
One of us.
I messaged him and I was like, "Well, look at what we have here." Listen. I almost cracked it when I got Warlord's Trainer. This kills.
Maybe he's talking to Lily Perza. And Lauren's in chat.
Speaking of Lou Perza, guess who I saw at BlizzCon?
Lulu Perza.
Not Lulu Perza. Lou Perza was at BlizzCon. I got to talk to her.
She was there with Curse.
Yeah, she was there with Curse. She looked good. She said she was really happy. Had a lot of fun with Curse. So yeah, it was nice to get to see her again. And she may be at SOE Live with Curse, but she's not 100% sure. It depends on if E3 and SOE Live coincide like they did this past year. So this year, 2014, they were at the same time. So
I don't know. Michael Flatley just dropped. I still predict the expansion after Draenor will completely change WoW as we know it. Yeah, it may kill it. We don't know. It's rather going to make it. It's going to push it. Listen, I don't want to. We're supposed to be talking about things we like. I don't want to get on a rant. Let me not rant. It's the last thing we want.
Okay, the question.
Yeah, because we're close to
combat.
To 6.
Should players heal 100% after every battle so they can put 100% into every battle?
No.
Or should players have to manually heal and restore mana and energy? So should it just be like after the fight it's automatically restored, or should you have to actively? Yeah.
Active. And there needs to be a fear of death in MMOs. There needs to be death consequences. There needs to be a reason to be careful about how you handle things in an MMO. And if you would have asked me that 6 months, I'd have been like, nah. Like, I don't need to fear death. What are you talking about? And then I started playing Minecraft.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Fear of death? Yeah. Oh my god, the serious fear of death.
I agree. I hate the whole, I can just kite out of the fight or run a certain amount of meters, and after that my health goes back up, or I'm safe from dangers.
I don't have a problem with like mana regen, life regen being on its own, and that it's a slow like tick back up. That it's like back in the day of WoW, it was like MP5. You gained 5 mana per second when you were out of combat.
Other way around.
Well, fuck you.
All these specifics.
Whatever. You gained mana when you were out of combat. It was slow. It didn't just happen.
Yeah, I'm cool with slow regen.
I'm okay with slow regen. I'm not okay with, oh, look, I'm not fighting anymore. Suddenly I'm at 100% again.
I totally get that. But at the same time, like those sorts of decisions that game developers give an edge to classes that have a self-heal or healing classes that are trying to level. In Vanguard, the first character to level 50 on the server I played on was a cleric. And that because clerics, they're plate wearers, so they naturally have a lot of defense built into them. And they're a healer, and it's like they could take on things that like other classes couldn't. And the two classes that had the hardest time leveling solo in Vanguard, and again, I realize that if you just group up, it totally changes things. You're absolutely right. But if you're just running around by yourself, playing a warrior, no self heals, or a rogue, no self heals, two hardest classes to level in Vanguard. So I totally get, like, you don't want it to be too like, well, if I can survive this fight, then I can just jump right into the next fight with no downtime at all on every class. But at the same time, you don't want, at least in my opinion, I think that you cheapen classes and you make some classes entirely too difficult to level if they don't have some assistance in that regard.
A fair point. Guild Wars 2 gave a heal to everybody.
Yeah,
so I really didn't like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and Guild Wars 2 did strange things because, like, you would level down to the zone that you were in, and you got experience doing just about every little thing in the game.
Which is good. No, I like that, though. You don't like that?
I
don't like how Guild Wars implemented it, but I could see an EQN, not having levels, so everywhere I go, it's not necessarily, this mob hits harder.
When there's genuinely no levels, it's completely understandable. But if I'm playing like a level 30 something and I walk into a level 2 zone and I just naturally scale back, of course I'm going to stay in that zone because I know exactly how it all works. I don't know. Personal pet peeve of me.
Really good.
Mentor system, I completely understand, and I think that's really good because I think you could mentor down in Vanguard as well, and I actually really thought that was neat. But there's a difference between mentoring down and just like your personal level changes when you walk into another zone that's lower than what you are and you're playing solo. I think that's a little cheap.
And I also didn't like that like when Guild Wars 2 launched, some of the characters that got to the top level, whatever it was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but some of the times if they were in a large enough group, what they did was they catapulted their high level characters up all the way, because as they were running around adventuring and leveling that way, part of their guild was back collecting and gathering for those characters because you got adventuring experience doing crafting items. And so what they would do is they would take all of their crafting materials that they had been gathering for the last couple of hours, and they would give it to the people in their guild that were adventuring, and they would basically catapult to max level with all of these crafting materials because it was because the experience that you earned was it didn't scale with your adventuring, so that you could basically be doing the easiest base amount of stuff crafting wise and be near max level character, and you would still get experience proportional the same as if you were a low level character, if that makes sense. High character, low level character didn't matter. The experience was proportional no matter what level you were along the scale. And so, like, that's cool that they had that, but again, this is how, what do they call it? Eminent griefing or emergent griefing and emergent trolling, like players figuring out ways to outsmart the system just by giving them these simple tools.
Well, fantastic. I guess it's time for break, huh? We still have so much more to cover. We were debating whether we were going to do the full 2 hours tonight, but man, it's looking like we might have to.
Yeah, we barely covered anything at all that we had plans on talking about.
Combat. We still have storyline discussions, questing,
PvP, crafting, community, and economy.
And economy. We're going to cover that all in the second hour of the EverCast show.
This
so don't go anywhere.
is what happens when you let me talk about BlizzCon for half an hour. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. Let's rage. Let's go.
I like it.
9-hour cast.
Listen.
Since I picked out the video, well, I don't think I picked them out. It was like a group consensus, but I found them. Our break videos today are two fly-by videos of the new EverQuest 2 expansion, Altar of Malice. As far as I know, they're just like flying around the zone so that you can see what they look like. One of them was uploaded by the writer for EQ2 Wire.
Did you get the one from Felden? I was about to say, because that's the best one.
Yep, one from Morgan, and one from, hold on real quick, I'll look, is right, Attack Gaming. So who wants to camp us out?
Kylest.
Camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.